it's been a good week so far, and we're excited to get on the road and get another good test for us, and really a big challenge for us on the road this week. But like we talked last week, and at the end of the game, the best we could be every week is 1-0, and we're 1-0 right now, and that's the goal again for this week. And it's every week's a 1 week season with the goal to be 1-0 at the end of the week. So we're just working every day and trying to get better and to attack this challenge.
Coach, last week you guys went through a mock to kind of figure out what game day was going to look like at home. What do you guys do to prepare to go on the road this week?
Yeah, it's good. We actually have a guy on our squad that came from Prairie View, so kind of give some insight. But really, it's you try to prepare them for a different environment, and so we mix stuff up in practice. You notice there's no music out there. We got to try to bring our own energy and things like that. But I think the environment's going to be good. Prairie View has a great environment. But they're not going to be on our side. So really just knowing that, hey, we're all we got, and we got to bring our own energy. Sideline's got to have energy, and we've got to be focused. So trying to focus on that stuff this week.
And when you look at, of course, you guys dug into Prairie View's week 1 game, the one last second touchdown and everything. So what sort of challenges does Prairie View present on the field, offensively, defensively?
Yeah, huge challenge, and really excited for us as a program to get this challenge and to see where we stand and see how we match up. But you go back to that game, the poise they showed, not only score once but twice. They scored and got it called back, and then come back and score the next play again from 16 yards out. Really shows their poise there at the end of the game. But going to be a super talented. Veteran ball club. You look at their defense, they've got 10 out of the 11 starters are seniors, juniors, or grads, with 9 of those being seniors or grads. So very veteran group. Offensively, really like what they do offensively, and quarterback plays well, and he's very mobile, makes some plays, and they're going to put it in his hands when the game's on the line. But it's going to be a challenge to contain him. And again, across the board, bigger group. They're big. They're going to be large. And again, different levels. So see how we match up with there defensively. Coach Tremaine Jackson, came from Valdosta. They do a great job with that defense, and it's that 3 down, 3 high. If you're familiar with Iowa State and the stuff the issues they pose on people, so it's going to force you to be patient. There's times you're going to drop 8 and take away a lot of stuff in the pass game, and everything's built inside to spill the run game out. And they've got guys, they got more hats in the box than you do. So it's really going to be a challenge and going to test our patience offensively. But again, for us, I'm excited as a head coach to see where our program stacks up this week.
And for a lot of these guys, the redshirt freshmen, true freshmen, will be their first road game. What's the message to them, or are the older guys in the locker room kind of giving them an expectation of what to expect on Saturday?
Yeah, sometimes it depends, and every team's different. And this is just like last week. I was curious to see how our team played in general. Now I'm curious to see how we travel, how are we going to play on the road, how are we going to respond to adverse situations there. And every team's different. Sometimes going on the road, teams play better. There's less distractions. Your family's not coming into town. You don't have people asking you for tickets, and there's stuff, the guys that we deal with on Friday and Saturday mornings on a home game. So big curiosity, when we got how are we going to travel? Long bus ride, and we'll stay in Houston, then drive another hour out to Prairie View on Saturday. So different environment, and again, we'll see how we match up.
So you talk a lot about effort and execution. Does that change at all when execution might be harder against a team like Prairie View?
No, that was going back to week 1, something we were extremely pleased with, and that was key. It was the execution. Even though you can win a game and be sloppy if you're a better football team, but really proud of our execution across the board defensively, flying to the football and making stops when we needed to make stops. Offensively, we were on target. We were accurate, in the pass game, and were able to run the football when we needed to. No special team issues with communication, things you worry about in first ball games. So was really excited there, and that's the challenge this week: is can we be consistent? Can we consistently have match that execution against a better opponent? And discipline is a key this week, and just that disciplined mindset to again get back up. Like we talked, we worked so hard and talked about a game for 2 years, and boom, it's over. Now we got to get ready. And yesterday's practice was a little difficult to get those guys locked in and ready, and still reading some headlines and listening to stories and getting the pats on the backs was again great, but we've got to come back and do it again. So are we going to have the discipline to have that work ethic, that accountability, to study, to do our job, and to get out there and match that execution against a better opponent this Saturday. Again, curious on my part, and that's going to be the challenge.
So how do you get those guys that are still celebrating and still super excited about last week? How do you get them more grounded and focusing on looking ahead?
No, you just get back to work. You just get back into work, and that's why you'll get back in a routine. That's the best thing about kind of getting in season. You get in a routine of back on Tuesday, the Tuesday, Wednesday grind practices. So sometimes win or lose, that's the best thing to do is just get back in that rhythm. Turn the page and close the book on last week, and that'll still be there. We can come back and enjoy that anytime we want down the road. But again, where are we going to be from week 1 to week 2? How much can we improve? There's so much we can improve on from week 1 to week 2. And again, the challenge is, can we be consistent with the way we played on Saturday?
Hey, Coach, as I covered number 12, Eddie Lee at high school level, I was used to seeing him come out at halftime and only playing the first half because they were dominating. The same thing happened. That was mostly just because of the score, right?
Yeah.
Something you plan to do.
No, that was hard. That was a tough decision because you get in a game like that, and especially early season. I think we'd only run 32 snaps at halftime. There's a conditioning aspect, and we wanted to bring those guys back out because we need to get in shape. We need to run more plays because we're probably going to have to play about 65 to 70 Saturday night and play for 4 quarters. So, that's always a concern. But then you look at the game, and you got the opportunity to get other guys in. You need to do that to get them experience, and then there's no need to keep scoring too many on somebody else if you don't have to. So, but no, that was just part of the way the game went, and there was no need to put him back out there. He had played such a good half, and we need to get some other guys in.
Now look at the stats. You had 322 yak yards in this game. That's a lot. What does that say about your receivers and your quarterback?
Again, I thought we were on target. The execution was phenomenal, and the guys, we caught everything. Guys did a great job getting open, and we're able to push the ball down the field. And a couple of those, Eddie checked us into those plays. He saw the matchups, and that was great to see early on that quickly. So, but again, going in, can we do that again? How are we going to match up? These defensive backs are tall and long, so they're going to be a bigger group. They're going to be in your face. They're going to play man coverage. They're going to put some pressure on you and put some pressure on the quarterback. So that's going to. Again, I'm excited to see how we match up, but it's going to be a different ball club we're playing.
Coach, just how do you measure Prairie View A&M after them taking a last-second win, and obviously they have a mobile quarterback? Just how do you plan to scheme that defensively in order to contain him and not do as much damage on the ground and as in the air?
Yeah, it goes back and kind of what we talked about all week, the discipline. Okay, discipline, knowing your assignment, knowing where you're supposed to be. Again, when he gets on the move, whether it's keeping contained, making sure we don't lose contain up front, who has the spy on him, staying with our coverage techniques, because again, they do make some plays scrambling, which is part of the game, and we have a plan for it, and defense has a plan for it. So keeping our discipline with our eyes and reading our keys of where we're supposed to be. So it really goes back to executing the game plan, but it's going to be discipline on both sides of football this week.
What do you think about or do you look at it as like a learning opportunity to see how your team does in the stretch when the score might be closer and they might have to egg out those wins?
Yeah, that's what, and we straight up talked to those guys yesterday, and we'll always be honest with them. I told them that's the curiosity on my part. I'm excited to see it, and we went back and told the story from UTSA in week 2, and we talked about I'm not going to scream and yell, and that's a lesson. I'm willing to let this program learn right now that you've got to get back, you've got to get to work, you've got to practice and play with that same high level of intensity week in, week out, no matter who you're playing or what happened. Again, yeah, I'm ready. See how we hit some adversity, true adversity early in the ball game, hostile environment, how are we going to handle that? Where's the energy going to come from? And are we going to be intimidated by that environment? So that's too. You're curious about all those as a head coach and see what your team is made of, and then learn from there.
Coach, this is your first Division I FCS opponent. I know it's only week 2, but this game can define what team you're for the rest of the season, or how it may affect for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, it's still early. It's still too early. I think even regardless of no matter what happens in this ball game, it's still early. I think it takes about probably 3 to 4 weeks to get a good feel for your team. You're going to be in different situations. You're going to be in different environments, and how you react, and then how you can learn and grow from them. So I think it'd be a good gauge and test of where we're at how we match up to Division I opponents right now, how we respond on the road. So it'll be a good gauge. I don't think it'll necessarily dictate anything down the road yet, but it'd be a good gauge of where we're going to start and where we can go from there.
Coach, if we could touch on a couple players. Brandon Ray, he's one of the only true freshman in their play. I know you guys got him at fullback, and he's in there tight end and stuff whenever you guys run two tight ends in there. Just as a freshman to come in here, earn his spot on the field, one of the few. Just what have you seen from him early on, being in the tight end position that's using him to lead block and mix it up there with ends and outside backers and stuff?
Yeah, the biggest thing was his physicalness, and that's what getting in training camp, and he came across on the split zone and just created that gap and bulled through there, which is what we need at that position, and kind of caught our eye. And from immediately the next day, we threw him in there the ones to see how he handled it, and he's done a good job. And so definitely versatile. Played both ways in high school and multi-sport athlete, and could do a lot of things. Got good hands as well. Excited, and he keeps again. He just needs reps to get in games. He's going to continue to get better.
And one more weekend, the boogeyman Tony Diaz. I know he's done a lot of good things since getting back to fall camp. To practice season last year, and so then of course he gets busy there last Saturday with a touchdown. Just what have you seen from him on the field, off the field, as a guy who's kind of been one of the leaders there in the receiver room?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing we've seen from him since day one. It's just great effort, always working his tail off out there. He goes full speed, phenomenal ball skills. Catches anything, and really, really excited to see what he does after the catch. And guys like him, same thing. They only had a few touches in that ball game as well. So excited to get them in a game and get them matched up against longer corners, some bigger guys, and see how we stack up there and how we how we're going to respond and execute. But the opportunity too, you get in a 4-quarter ball game now. Again, the challenge is how do we move them around? How do we get them the football and get them more touches?